And so she's asked for a bit more time just to make sure that we get it right. So we're just going to leave that item adjourned until later in our agenda. Yeah. And so we will now go on to the sports field lease model review. Okay. And we've got some people on Zoom. We've got Anna, yeah, and also who else? Paul, yeah. So welcome, Anna and Paul. Great to have you join us. And I see Brad, you're there. So you're going to lead it away for us. Oh.
Just before we start, I am the patron for Te Amere Sports. Okay, so although I didn't declare an interest, I do have that position to declare.
Okay, but you don't treat it as a conflict of interest? No. No. Yeah. No, yeah. I think Lou's more than a picture on the wall, but thanks for making that clear, Lou. Yeah. So with that, Brad, yeah, over to you now.
Kia ora koutou. Yeah, thanks for the introduction there, Madam Chair. I will just introduce briefly Anna McElroy, who will be familiar to you already, former staff member here and now with Exist, and her colleague Paul Wilson, who's also with Exist. They have been leading this project for us, will be leading this project for us to support staff through a transition of resource in our team. So over to you, Anna.
Morena koutou, Madam Chair, councillors. Lovely to see you all again. The purpose of this report is to provide an overview of the Sports Field Lease Model Review project, and I'll briefly highlight the key points in the report before opening up for questions and general discussion. The project is one of the responses to the Sports Field Provision Study completed in 2020 that highlighted a growing, current and growing provision gap for winter codes and the need to optimise the use of the current sports field network. Council wants to create a high quality, future-proof sports field network that meets the needs of Waipa's clubs that are domiciled on its sports fields, other clubs and event organisers wanting to use the fields, and also the general public who want to undertake informal recreation. It also wants to support volunteers involved in the provision of sport to focus on what they're great at, which is sport delivery. Through the project, we will engage with lessees to fact check our information, to test the draft sports field principles, and to understand what is and isn't working well from their perspective. We're also intending to go out to a wider stakeholder group that includes the RSOs, other sports clubs, and event organisers via an online survey. We'll also inform mana whenua through Ngā Iwi Tōpū o Waipa. Following that, we'll undertake a multi-criteria analysis of the lease model options, which we'll then test back with the lessees. Given Council doesn't have a sports field strategy or a policy, we have created a working draft version of a sports field network mission statement, principles and outcomes to guide decision-making for this project, and that's set out on page 5 and 6 of the report. We intend to test these with lessees and stakeholders through that initial engagement, and then to use the principles as the criteria for the analysis of the lease model options. So I'll leave it there. My colleague Paul Wilson has extensive experience in sports field management, and so he, Brad, and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have on the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. So we've already got a question. Yes, Lou, how would you like to take it away?
With this model we're talking, will there be recognition of the facilities that actually clubs or organisations have actually placed on the park? And I'm talking of such things like infrastructure like lights and goalposts and all of that, because some of that is quite significant cost, and they have to have that recognised. So at the moment, all of these organisations have no legal right whatever to occupy or have that. So these facilities technically don't exist. So for us, so this is something that was just a question given to me to ask today.
Thank you, and through the chair, it's a great question. We've done our best to look at the asset information that council has about those ancillary assets for sports fields. And when we go out to the lessees, we'll be looking to, as I said, fact check and make sure we've got that accurate to understand what is that asset holding and what are the current roles and responsibilities in relation to those assets. And I think part of that is to absolutely understand what have those clubs invested into that. And then when we look at those different lease model options, to include that in the analysis. So that will be definitely part of the project.
Thanks, Anna. Any other questions? Yes, Marcus.
I'm just wondering, a lot of our clubs have been wanting some help with ownership of their facilities, like maintaining their buildings and things like that. Is there going to be a chance in this review to give the clubs a hand up and to empower them to take over their sites? Well, not take over, but look after them and upgrade them and take ownership of their buildings and stuff? Something like the soccer club have been frustrated about, what's happening. Like they just seem to hit roadblocks trying to work with council. Is there a chance that we can change the way that it operates?
I'll take that one if you want, Anna. So through you, Madam Chair, no, that short answer to that is no, it's out of scope for this project. What we're looking at is just the playing platforms and maximising the use of those and ensuring we've got the right model to deliver those for the community going forward. Doesn't include buildings.
Yes, Lou.
As I envisage it, and I just want to ask the question, would this give the actual organisations a right to occupy on the sports ground, or so they can set agendas, or not? Or is not being envisaged? I'm saying a lot of these are public grounds. They're publicly owned and they're owned by the council. But technically, a lot of these organisations, and I'm talking both in Cambridge and Tiamuru and Leamington, they do not technically have the right to occupy. And in doing that, it means that they have to have some legal status so that they can actually operate and have some concept of the maintenance and what happens.
So through Madam Chair, I'll answer that. I can't see what Brad, I feel like he's might be signaling, but I'll have a go and then Brad can add anything else that he would like to say. So currently 13 of the 17 sports parks that council owns are leased entirely to clubs. And that is quite different to how, I guess, most other council sports fields operate, whereby clubs have a lease for their building footprint. And then the sports field, the playing platforms are managed by council, and there's various forms of how you might manage the bookings for those fields. Often the clubs that are domiciled on those fields will have some sort of priority booking arrangement. That's an annual agreement that's set up. But it does allow for other entities that want to come in, be it other clubs or event organisers, to then also come in and make bookings directly through council. But that's the range of lease model options that we'll be reviewing and looking at all those sort of different aspects and I guess analysing what is going to work best for Waipa's community and for council.
Thank you. I've got a few questions. So you say first that the buildings and the club rooms and that are out of scope. So is that actually going to cause any issues for those that are at the point of their asset lives, where they've actually got to be looking for some kind of upgrade or replacement? Is this going to make it more difficult for them perhaps to work out how they are going to do that? I appreciate that you do have to have a starting point somewhere, and this is the logical starting point for that broad consultation and that. But by doing that, is this going to make it difficult for those that are actually got some urgent building issues?
Through Madam Chair, Brad, I see you put your hand up. Go for
it. Did you have something to add, Anna?
Only that when we do the one-on-ones with the leases early next year, I think what we were anticipating is there probably will be a range of issues like the building condition and what they want to do in terms of upgrades that we'll need to hear from them. And I think we just need to take it down and park it and put it to the side and explain the process for how they will get addressed. We've also put together quite a tight program, I guess, to try and get a decision from council relatively quickly to ensure that decisions about leases, and some of them are currently expired and some of them are getting close to expiring, so that isn't postponed too long, because I guess that's the challenge for clubs who are looking for some major upgrades, as they're wanting some new longer leases to then be able to seek that external funding, which most of the big external funders do require longer term leases. So we have tried to, I guess, we're very conscious of that challenge for clubs. And I guess for that reason, trying to make it quite a tight program to turn it around and get a decision.
Oh no, that sounds great. So I just had a couple of comments about the draft mission statement, which is on page 5 of the report, or 103 of our agenda. The mission statement doesn't include the aim of promoting positive relationship with sporting clubs and organisations to maximise cooperation and utilisation of the grounds for local benefit. I notice it's in the chart below, which sort of the New Zealand sporting facilities framework covers, but I just thought, would it be a good idea to actually include it in the mission statement so it's pretty clear to people, what the overarching aim is? Yeah,
I think it's definitely worth us considering. And if you were just to send me that wording, which sounded great, I will look at how we can build that into it. I guess. Yeah, we're doing to keep it relatively tight, but I think that's a really key aspect of what we're wanting to make sure council the community hears from council, as it is about building those positive partnerships. So. Yeah, it's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then over the page, there's a lot of bullet points about the outcomes. And the third to last one is there is a reduced requirement to acquire and or build additional facilities. So I'm having a bit of a struggle understanding why this process is going to reduce the need for facilities like that. Like, I thought that probably if you're promoting more use, is it because there'll be more cooperation and there'd be more shared use of facilities, perhaps? I mean, maybe that would be a better way of expressing it, because if you're a club that's got a club room or something, you might be worried that, it's actually not looking too good, that you might be asked to give it up or something. So if that's the intention, maybe show that it's more sharing of facilities. And then just lastly, there's a map on page 107 of our agenda, so appendix 2. I noticed that it didn't include Kaipaki Sports Oval, and I'm pretty sure that is a council-owned reserve or not. It's not. It's private. Yeah. Oh,
Through
okay.
Madam Chair, sorry, it is a council-owned reserve, but it has got a very long-term lease in place.
Right.
But we haven't. That actually is a mistake, because it was something that we picked up quite late. It wasn't part of the original leases that we picked up as sports field leases. So I will amend that map to show it, because it is part of council's sports field network.
Yes, and on that note, I mean, like Ngātapuri, that Reed Memorial Park, so it's a private one, isn't it? Yeah, cool. No, thank you very much. So those were all the points that I wanted to raise, and I just want to emphasise that this is just starting the process, and that the intention is that it's an open consultation, trying to gather all that information and listen really carefully to all of the users of these sports fields, and hopefully, to see a way forward to I guess improve that access, especially for those new codes and things. That's the whole idea, isn't it? That you've identified there's a shortfall, and hopefully this is a way to improve things. Going forward. Cool, excellent. So with that, I've got a recommendation on page 99 that we receive the report of Brad Ward about the sports field lease model review. And do I have a mover? Right, Lou, you're moving, and Bruce is seconding. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thanks. Thanks. Well done, and all the best. It's a great thing to be kicking off. Cool. All right. So, any word from Joe? No, okay, all right. So now we'll move on to the Waipa Fun Run. Is that right?
Yes.
Road closure. Julie, oh, there you are, Julie. Welcome to our table. Nice to see you here, and I'll let you take it away. Thank you.
Yep. The Waipa Fun Run, obviously an annual event. We haven't had any objections to this one, but we did get one access request from the Cambridge Central Bowling Club, and that has been worked out between the organisers and the bowling club, so that there's no issues going on with that.
Excellent. So any questions?
Great
No?
work, Julie, and I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Andrew. And do I have a seconder? Mike, thank you. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Wonderful. Go on to the next one, which is Rangiawhia commemorations.
Yep.
Thank you. Look, and I was just going to ask about about the access for those residents. Like that's something that can be worked through if an
Yes.
issue comes up.
Yeah, that's something that they do each year, and things
Okay.
like the milk tankers and the school buses and all, they have
Yeah.
arrangements for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. All right. So I've got a mover and a seconder. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Wonderful. And then the long course weekend.
Yes.
Okay, Marcus is moving. Bruce is seconding. Gosh, I hope we're not, rushing this too much. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against.
I'm just wondering, in the
here
future,
we
can
go.
these be bundled into one thing? Because I mean, they're not very controversial. I mean, is there any way that we could not waste your time having to just sit there to
Isn't
the
it?
future?
Isn't it that the each resolution is separate?
Each resolution has to be separate, and under the Local Government Act, they have to be approved by councillors, elected members. So
Yeah, you're wasting time, Marcus. Yeah.
unfortunately, we do have to go through this.
Yeah.
They are looking at amending that section of the Local Government Act, so it may be possible that we're hoping to have some input into that, but
Yeah.
it could be approved by delegation.
Okay, well, let's get on with it. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Wonderful. And then, is this to you too, Julie, about the oh,
That's Jane.
okay, Jane. All right. Okay, thank you, Julie. Lovely to see you. Sorry you couldn't stay longer. Yeah. Okay, the next item is the request for new road names, and it's Brian. No. Pat.
Well, ahead of themselves.
Okay, so it's Jane.
Jane, yeah.
Lovely to meet you, ladies. Perhaps you'd like to introduce yourselves. I don't think we've seen you, Jane, before. Oh, could you just press the button so the red light? Yes, excellent.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, councillors. I'm Jane, the graduate development engineer here to present the road names report. This is Eva, my manager. She's here to support me, and I will take the report as read and happy to answer any questions if you have.
Thank you, Jane. So any questions on the proposed names of those new roads? No, right, excellent. So perhaps I could get a mover and a seconder then. Okay, Andrew's going to move and Marcus is going to second. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jane. And now we have Brian back. Yeah, thank you for the submission to Waka Kotahi about the interim state highway speed management plan. Yeah. Hello, Brian. Nice to see you
Hi.
back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll be sick of me shortly, I'm sure. So I'll take the report as read, and I'm sure there's probably lots of questions about this one.
Right.
I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Normally, speed limits on state highways is one of those topics that everybody wants to talk about. So.
Yes, certainly at Pirongia, we get lots of concerns about the speed of traffic going through, even though it's a 50k zone, and then going up to 60 and 80. But yeah, people don't really respect it. That's all. I mean, it's great that it's been consulted on, and I was really pleased to see the points you'd raised about Ngāpuhi, the fact that the 30k zone is not likely to be effective. Yeah, and do you know whether or not they took that the proposal about the the roundabout that's going to be in the future, but I guess that's still a long way off. That might.
Yeah, certainly they'll be aware of it, but yeah, because it's probably several years away, the speed limit setting rule says that schools have to be treated by, I think, 2027. So
Right.
All local authorities and the State Highway Authority have to act more quickly.
Yeah. Yes, Susan.
I've got a stupid question for you because I specialise in them. You refer to them as the proposed changes as variable speed signs. So they're the ones that vary according to the time of day, right?
Correct.
So what hours would those be? Because I know I'm getting feedback from some schools, not subject to this, that the variable speed sign activation isn't early enough because a lot of students are arriving earlier. So what is the time?
Oh, I don't know. Eric doesn't know either. It is about 15 to 20 minutes, and it is typically we'll try and work that out with the school because every school can be slightly different. We do have to publish the time, so the approval that we get from Waka Kotahi to have a variable speed sign is supposed to publish the time that it operates for. And what they don't want is for a sign to be displayed and asking drivers to slow down when there's no school activity. So, the morning is often more concentrated, more spread out, where more parents are arriving over a longer time period because some are arriving, for before school care type programs, and then but it tends to be the afternoon where there's a much more concentrated sort of 15 minutes of real rapid activity, and then it's largely over. So long answer to a short question. Sorry, but it's all about trying to make sure the sign is not on for too long a period of time and people drive by and they see no activity and then they just ignore it thereafter.
I raised the question because I met yesterday with Sunny West, the principal at Kihiki, and I know it's not subject to this, but just as an aside, she said that the variable speed in terms of around Kihikihi is too late. So a lot of their students actually arrive from about 8 o'clock onwards. They're almost all there by 8:30. And if your speed sign kicks in at about that point, it's kind of pointless.
Right.
And a lot of them are traveling by foot. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Lou.
Thank you very much, through you, Madam Chair. I'm very, very supportive, Brian, of the recommended other externing, going back to Waka Kotahi. Two very, very important ones. 2014, I arrived in here and actually asked for that speed limit to be changed on the Te Ameruahapa Road, because at that time we had a significant development with Nords and all the other buildings along there. So that was something that we've been fighting for. So I'm very keen to see that. Very keen to see the southern one at Kiki. I think that's a great, great addition. And also, of course, Kaipeki. We'll get past the Kaipeki entrance. And Mayor Susan was very keen to see that extended as well. So out of by the Ahapa School there. So extending those are all excellent, things. And I think we should proceed with those as well. Very keen to support that. Thank you.
Thank you. So no other questions? All right. Oh, sorry, Bruce, you go for it.
Brian, I'm quite keen to assist with the Kaipeki intersection Douch Road, because there's been a few crashes here. I did talk to someone from Waka quite a while ago, and just to push it about 100 metres north to Hamilton side, and that would solve it. You just can't see anything. It's really dangerous. Yeah, long time. And you had too, Susan.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see some action on it. So with that, do I have a mover and a seconder for both receiving the report and approving the submission? Yeah. Oh, right. Lou and Andrew. Okay. Yeah. all in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you. That's great. And so I'm just checking any update from Joe.
Currently with Diana. So
oh, okay. Well, I think we should just move into public excluded and deal with the item.
Do you want to do that? And then
Yeah.
do you want to adjourn for 10 minutes before we go into the public excluded item? That might
Okay.
be the better way. So if we go resolution to exclude
Okay.
and then go and have a break for 10 minutes and then
Another. Oh, we'll cut. Yeah. Could we do the public excluded item?
you can.
Yeah, I thought we could, if that's okay.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So we'll just have to tell them to the public to leave.
Yeah, okay.
So if we go into that, to the recommendations.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Oh, no, okay. Okay, so we'll do the resolution to exclude the public, and I'm so sorry that we have to do that, but appreciated your input, yeah, and presence. Well, we haven't got an update on when it's likely to happen, unfortunately, yeah, but it shouldn't be too far away, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, she won't